2011 finds the web content management marketplace in a really interesting time and space. On the one hand, of course, there's renewed emphasis in website management. In other words, managing the actual visitor experience and interaction, which is clearly essential. This is why we're all building websites, and so there's a lot of critical services and technologies that we need to master there, and WCM vendors are putting a lot of energy into that. At the same time, it's quite clear that a number of most enterprises haven't still quite figured out the whole content management piece, how to get the right content to the right person at the right time and how to put content and services together. So I think that we're going to see more emphasis certainly on website management and the whole front-end experience. That's clearly an evolution that's going to happen. I think what we'll see, though, going into 2012 is maybe a greater emphasis on content management. First, just because information is so essential to services, but secondly, because of mobile, is that mobile is forcing a number of organizations, both private sector and public sector, to really reevaluate just their whole corpus of information and whether it's still relevant. And I think that we're all going to be focusing a bit more on content management next year. This is a really interesting debate right now, and it's an important debate, and there's no easy answers. Should I go with tried and true web standards and target the mobile browser at whatever low common denominator I can, or do I focus my investments and my attention in slicker, more device-specific or mobile OS-specific apps, right? And clearly apps have won a very cherished place in the consumer marketplace, and so people are asking, well, clearly maybe they have a similar role in the enterprise. I tend to lean away from that model. I think that people often predict that there's going to be the demise of the web, and in the end the web always wins. In the end, web standards always win. The problem is getting there, and even sort of mobile-specific standards like HTML5, we know they have problems. We know that the applicability and the universality of it is not going to be where we want, but still, if you're an enterprise targeting an employee base in particular, as opposed to, say, a public consumer app, then I think that's the way to go, because your employees are going to be bringing multiple devices. The same employee may even have multiple devices, so you can't control the device environment. None of us are going to be able to control the device environment of our coworkers, and so we really have to be thinking about what are common standards, what are common user experiences, and we're also beginning to see some problems with apps. Some of them have turned out to be surprisingly brittle. It's another kind of thick client environment. If you make changes to the server side of the application, can those changes then be reflected in the client app itself? We know this is already a big issue with SharePoint, so to the extent practicable, if you're the one responsible for the mobile user experience, then I really would encourage enterprises to focus more on a mobile web user experience rather than a mobile device-specific app experience. Work has always been social since the dawn of time, and it's just that some of our enterprise information systems have treated us like automatons, like robots working in a cube, and people are resisting that as they should. I think the first level, you might say Enterprise 2.0, 1.0, has been to really create separate social and collaboration spaces where people can kind of let their hair down, and we can be more fluid in the way that we interact and be more creative and drive innovation, help people find information through other people as opposed to through a search engine. And so all this has been very positive, and there are of course many case studies. Some of the technology may be a little bit uneven, and certainly among the vendors that we evaluate there are problems with all of the tools, but we can get there. I think the issue is that we are also, though, creating some kind of social and collaboration silos. And I think and we're already hearing this from some of our larger customers who are making inquiries about how can I make How can I put social and collaboration into the flow of work as part of somebody's digital experience as opposed to a place to go? And I think this is where customers want to go. This is where some of the marketplace is going. We have a long way to get there. There's a lot of challenges around standards, around integration, around some, clearly some vendors who are not necessarily going to cotton to this. And so there are a lot of challenges, but I think this is where enterprises want to go. I think this is ultimately where the technology goes, and I also think this is very exciting, this whole notion of collaboration as a layer, but even more importantly, as a service in your enterprise as opposed to a place.